Hey guys, what's going on? It's Slacker here. I'm back to you with a first NCAA football 2014 video game. Basically what I'm going to do is go over a team that I love very much who is not very good, and that team is Kansas University. Basically my favorite team since I was a little kid. So to be able to do this on a game that I played so much back in the past is really super fun for me. So basically what I'm going to do is take KU, Kansas University, and run them through and try to rebuild them, try to build them from the ground up. If you don't know, Kansas is not very good when it comes to football. I also go ahead and try to make it realistic by putting it on a Heisman. The settings and everything stay vanilla, so try to make it as realistic as possible. I don't want to just turn, KU into a powerhouse in 2 or 3 years with just recruiting and winning every single game. So basically what I'm going to do is go through and rebuild them from the ground up. As you can see here, I'm going through the AIs so that you can see them. I also set everything to Heisman mode, so it will be the most difficult mode available. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the head coach for KU. They are in the Big 12. If you didn't know that, they start out as a 2-star. I believe their overall, I don't remember what it was, 81 I think is their overall, if I remember correctly. Anyway, we're going to be the head coach of them. This is what they look like in the past. Not very good when it comes to tradition. They're just a C+. However, as you can see in 2013 and even last year in 2016, they did not win many games at all. But 2012, they are 1-11, 2-10. This is way after their Orange Bowl victory when they went 12-1. So basically, starting out skill tree, I'm wanting to just kind of upgrade the prospects, the recruiting prospects, stuff like that. I want to make sure that I have points and extra points to look at prospects and try to get the prospects to come to KU. So as you can see here, I'm just looking through the management tree as well as setting the defense and offensive coordinators. The defense and offensive coordinators we're not really worried about in general, just because they're probably going to leave. I don't really have the ability to keep them there. So basically all we're worried about is what we put into the head coach as far as the upgrades go. We decided to use this on scouting. Scouting will basically increase efficiency up to I think 25% or something like that, to when we go into the prospect pool and look for potential recruits. I just go ahead and add a few things to stamina and injury for my offense and defense coordinators. That way my players stay healthy and their stamina is up all game, because a lot of the players, we're going to need them to play every single down, including our running back, quarterback, wide receiver, stuff like that. So we're going to go through basically all these, the recruiting board, the tutorials, the red shirting, all that stuff. We are not going to create any prospects. We're going to skip to the normal generated prospects. I think this is best. Might change names when they come in next year, just depending on if I like their names, or if we want to try to make it super realistic, I can go ahead and next year's class bring in the freshmen and rename them to the current KU roster. I could probably go ahead, if you guys want that done, I could go ahead and change those right now. Right now, they're just names that were given to the players back in 2014. This is their real roster in 2014, so you will see some names on their roster and other rosters that do match the real life people, because I put this roster in 2014. So if you want to see those rosters changed, if you want to see realistic people now, I can go ahead and go through and name all of them. Just let me know in the comment sections down below what you want to do, and I can see if I can make it happen. So starting off, we're looking at all prospects. It is KU, so we're not going to get a lot of high caliber players. I think we basically get 1 4-star wide receiver. The rest, everyone is 3 stars, 2 stars, or 1 star. So when I'm looking through and recruiting, obviously we're looking at what the team needs. We're also looking at caliber. We're also looking at what their interest is, what we are rated as a team to them. We're also looking at the lock percentage. If the lock percentage is rather low, then we can pretty much just go after this guy at all times. If the lock percentage is high, they stand a better percentage, or they stand a better chance on signing early. We would love to get people signing early. That's why I'm going through and adding people that are interested in me first to be their number one school. So if we offer a scholarship to them, they stand a higher chance with signing with us in the very first week. That way we don't spend recruiting points and other points on the person individually. So we go ahead and basically add players that we think, hey, maybe they could sign in the very first week, so we add them. I also go through players that are what I think are good as far as overall stuff based on where we recruit heavily at. We recruit heavily in Kansas and Texas and Missouri, so we want to make sure that if we see people that are from Texas, Kansas, or Missouri, that we're paying close attention to them, they're going to get that bonus when it comes to recruiting because of the pipeline states. We also can add a pipeline state, so we can kind of look if we find a bunch of players from California or Nebraska or Oklahoma, we can go ahead and add that as a pipeline state and get those extra points. So we're kind of looking at players there too. If we need a certain position or we're wanting a lot of players to go after, we can go ahead and add them and then go through the pipeline state and add that state as a pipeline state to help with recruiting later. So basically right now we're going to go through our team needs to see what our team needs. We need a fullback, we need a center, we need a kicker, we need a strong safety. So we're going to go through and look for those players individually. We want to make sure that we're filling those spots. Right now there's not many fullbacks that we have to choose from. There is, however, a 2-star and a 1-star that want to go to our school first. We're going to add them to our recruiting pool. We also have only 2 centers that like us. They are very high locks, so we stand a better chance at signing them the first week. So we go ahead and add that guy that believes in us first. We're going to add him, keep him, and recruit him as we need a center to fill out that spot. We also, going through, we need a kicker and we need a strong safety. So we're going to eventually get to those and hit those up. However, going through here, I found a few more people that I thought I would like. A few people that had kind of lower lock percentages with higher spark ratings and higher overall ratings. So we wanted to make sure we went ahead and added them as well as we went through the different lineups. I'm looking to really boost my defense first. The offensive weapons are more to my disposal, as in I don't need a 75 or 80 running back to be able to gain yards in a game. However, if I want to stop offenses that are very, very good, I am going to need some very good defensive pieces to kind of play the game for me. I can't use everything on the defense. However, on the offense, I can tell them where to throw, tell them how fast to run, basically where to run, all the plays, all that stuff I have more control over. So I want to make sure that I have control over the offense, that the defense is pretty much taking care of itself. That's why I'm going through and really spending a lot of points and interest in the defense first. If I can get a good defense on the field, that's going to make my offense better. They're going to get more possession. They're going to get more chances to score. So we might also have a defense that's so good that they score by themselves, and we don't even really need a huge high-powered offense to win games. In the Big 12, there is a lot of shootouts, so the better safeties, the better corners, those types of positions we get, the better we're going to be in the end. As you can see, I added that kicker from Oklahoma. We also need a defensive tackle and free safety. I think I said strong safety earlier, but it's a free safety. So we go ahead and add those positions as well. So it's a really good idea that you're always paying attention to this, always paying attention to athletes. There's athletes that you can turn into whatever position you need them to, whether or not they're necessarily suitable for that position or not. A lot of athletes that come through end up being quarterbacks. Also, they're either the quarterback and running back. Some are quarterback and wide receiver. Some are even quarterback, halfback, strong safety, and safety, or in free safety. So just pay attention to those as well. I basically load up my recruiting board, as here you can see I have my 35 people max. I also make sure the settings are where we want them. I want to make sure that everything is on for me and things are not being auto added. Players are not receiving scholarships or anything like that without me knowing. So at the beginning here, you can actually go through each recruit and scout them a little bit before the season starts. Right now, since I got that upgrade, I'm at 25% scouting. So later we're going to go through and scout those players. Going to the redshirt section, we're going through our roster to see if there's any freshmen, sophomore, or even people, juniors and seniors, that need to be redshirted. I do end up redshirting a quarterback there and a running back here because they're freshmen. They're not going to be starting this year, so there's no point in them losing a full year. I also do a freshman wide receiver and a sophomore wide receiver, as they will not be playing this year starting. So redshirting them is going to help in the future. Also redshirt a few other people throughout here to give them basically an extra year. You usually don't redshirt seniors, but since I had 3, I thought, you know, why not try to redshirt 1 and see what happens. So we go through right in defensive tackle, want to redshirt one of them, as we have 3 juniors. Only 2 are going to play, so there's no point in having all the juniors lose a year when only 2 are going to play. Same thing with left outside linebacker and middle linebacker. We have some young people. We have a sophomore and a freshman, and we go through the ends of our roster here. I think we have as many people as we want to redshirt at this point, so we're going to back out and go on to the next step. The next step in this is the depth chart. So we're going to go through and set our depth chart. It's pretty much set up the way we wanted to already. We're just kind of looking through things, trying to figure out, is there some positions that we might want to change? Is there some players that we might want to move around to a different position? Such as this, we don't have a fullback, so we have 2 tight ends. So kind of just, you know, do we want to put a different tight end there? Do we want to change which wide receivers are in our slot? Which one is our number 1 wide receiver? Are we going to take care of matchups? Are we going to go with younger people that have closer overall? Rather than having a senior start at a 78, we have a freshman start at a 77, that type of thing, to try to get them playing time. So going through the roster right now, the depth chart, and yes, these are the names of the real players in 2013-2014 season. So keep that in mind, that you might see a few players that are now currently in the NFL. Even as the season goes, you will see people on the Heisman list that you do know. So keep that in mind. I can go through and change the names. That would take a lot of time to do. However, I might end up changing the KU names just so it's more realistic for the KU team. And in 2 or 3 years, we should be through most of the people that are going to go pro. So we'll get to normal names. So now that we are going through the kick returners, I decided to use a different kick returner, as in I didn't want to get one of my wide receivers hurt. I'd rather the good wide receivers kind of stay, you know, away from kick returns. Don't want to get them hurt in the beginning of the season. And we also don't have the best quarterback play, so we're going to need our wide receivers to be healthy. We're going to need them to be fast. We're going to need them not to drop passes, that type of thing. So the depth chart is set. We're going on to choose an extra pipeline state. We have Kansas, Missouri, and Texas as our current pipeline states. However, to find out who we should change, I go to the recruiting board and basically just check who we have added. Is there a state that it seems like we have a lot of people of? If so, let's add them and try to get them, you know, those extra points. I also went through and looked at some of my higher end players that I really want. Is there a player that from a certain state that I really want? And yes, there might only be 2 or 3 from that state and 6 from another state, but if the 3 people we want is higher, basically it's worth the trade-off trying to get those extra points to get that very good player. So we went through and looked, and it looks like a lot of the recruits that were wanting to come to us are from Oklahoma. So we're actually going to pick Oklahoma as our pipeline state for this year. That way next year, hopefully it is a pipeline state because of all the players we got from Oklahoma based on if we signed them or not. So picking Oklahoma as our pipeline states, we got Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas. The very next step is to go through and set custom schedules. Going through with this, I thought about changing a lot of these, making them all FCS schools and starting out 3-0. However, I didn't think that would be realistic as far as, you know, even playing on Heisman. Like, they might probably going to be blowouts. So I wanted to make sure I picked some hard games, even though being in the Big 12 is going to be hard enough. So I did pick 2 FCS schools. I picked FCS Midwest and FCS West. I did, however, keep Rice in there just because we needed an actual, you know, legitimate game before we go into Big 12 play. Even though Big 12 play is going to be super hard to win in. As you can see, our roster, we play Texas Tech, we play at TCU, we're home against Oklahoma and Baylor, we are at Texas and Oklahoma State, ranked 15th and 14th right now, going home to West Virginia, going to Iowa State, and coming home for the showdown with Kansas State rivalry. So basically the schedule looks set so far. It looks like the strength of schedule is B+, which is not bad. I would like it to be better, but it's not bad for what we have right now. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go through our recruiting board. We're going to find out who we want to scout, who we want to see if they get better or not. So we're going through this at this point. Keep in mind these changes, these recruiting scouting points can change the person's overall. So as you notice here, this guy goes up 1 to a 69, Jim Wright does. However, keep in mind if we recruit him next week, it might drop down 3 or 4 levels overall. So that's something to kind of pay attention to. Just because a guy is a 75 overall coming out before you scout him, he can be a 64 at the end. Same thing with players that, you know, are kind of low, like a 62 or a 63 or 64. You can look at them and their overall ends up at the end going up to, you know, +7, and they're like a 72 or something. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at the overalls. It's not necessarily set in stone what they're going to be in the end. Sometimes, honestly, they're never even close. Sometimes you get people that are, you know, +9 overall levels. So you just kind of want to pay attention to their stats when you're recruiting them, when you're adding them to the player pool. So when you're adding them, you're kind of looking at times, you're looking at, you know, how much they can lift, all that stuff like that. Like you can see here, this center, he gains 5 overall, which is a huge get because he was a 68 overall. No one's really paying attention to him. All of a sudden, he's a 73. Granted, next week we could scout the rest of him and he could drop down 5 levels and lose every single point that he just gained. However, at this point, you know, people are fluctuating up and down. Also want to let you know that, you know, like, make sure you just use all the points you have. Make sure that you're, you know, scouting people that you really think you can have or that you're going to want for your team, because these are going to be the stones of next year that you're going to have to play through. These are going to be your freshmen that are going to come in and make a difference. Thank you guys so much. Since we have the setup recruiting board done, we have the redshirt players done, depth chart has been set, the extra pipeline state of Oklahoma has been chosen, and the custom schedules have been chosen. The only thing to do at this point is to start the regular season. We do have a bye week in week 1, but in week 2 we play one of the FCS schools. For this video and future videos, I will be playing 2 weeks at a time. This was just the preseason, kind of getting ready for the regular season. So the regular season episodes will be coming out every Saturday morning. So make sure that you hit that red subscribe button so that you can catch those as we rebuild the Kansas Jayhawks. So if you guys like this episode, please give it a big thumbs up. I hope you guys enjoy this little episode that I'm doing. I've been doing this on Madden, I did this on MLB, and I thought it would be awesome if I tried this on NCAA with one of my favorite teams of all time. So going through this, I'm going to be making this video 2 weeks at a time. I'm going to play 2 weeks before I upload, and this will be uploaded every Saturday morning. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like or will like this series, make sure you hit that red subscribe button so that you catch all of this series actions. Until next time, Slacker out.